So the Red Wings this season just barely missed the playoffs. They were actually tied with Washington with the amount of points that they had, but they ultimately lost the season series. So I believe that is why that Washington went on and faced the Rangers in the first round. Regardless, the Red Wings probably would have got toasted by the New York Rangers, but they do have to take that next step in their rebuild, make the playoffs, gain some experience, and then hopefully in 5 years compete for a Stanley Cup. So that is exactly what GM Pasta is here to do, boys. You know the deal. We got 5 full seasons of simulation to win the Detroit Red Wings a Stanley Cup in NHL 24. If I do not get the job done, then I have failed the challenge. So let's go ahead, take a look at who won the Stanley Cup, because I did simulate up to current day. All right, so we are in June 8th, 2024. Winnipeg somehow went on and won the Stanley Cup, which, I mean, I don't understand how that's even possible, but it did happen. Dylan Larkin led our team, 36 goals, 82 points on the season. And now we have to head into the NHL draft and, of course, the re-sign phase. Now for draft, I mean, I'm going to take a look here and see where we pick, but we are going to get 16th overall, which honestly isn't the greatest pick, but I will go ahead and choose somebody. So in the NHL draft, I'm going to go ahead and select Sam Dickinson from the London Knights, 16th overall, and he's going to be a top 4 high potential D-man, only a 71 overall. It said he was NHL ready in 2 years, so maybe he can make the squad in a few seasons. So here we are in the re-sign phase, and we do need to sign a few players here. Lucas Raymond, who's an RFA, will definitely need to get back. Shane Gostisbehere, I probably want to re-sign him as well. We only have $20 million in cap space. We're going to lose our backup in James Reimer, but that is perfectly okay. So in free agency, we only have $3.6 million to spend, so I'm probably only going to get a depth forward or defenseman, considering we do not have the money to spend regardless, but I am going to try to make some trades here in the offseason. Now, the first order of business is moving off of Lucas Raymond because of the fact that he does not simulate well in this game. I want to go out, get a sniper, and Cole Caulfield from Montreal. Obviously, in real life, this probably would never go through, but we're going to have to slot in a second and a third also. And let's see, will the Montreal Canadiens accept? They have. So Raymond for Cole Caulfield, pretty much straight up. The next guy I'm going to be going after is Tom Wilson, a power forward that will make the Red Wings a lot tougher, and he can produce in the playoffs, and that is our next step, making it and being a good team in the playoffs. So we got Danielson, who's a prospect, and Rasmussen for salary cap reasons. Let's see if the Capitals will do it, and the trade has been accepted from Washington. Now the next order of business is going out and grabbing a goalie in Logan Thompson. Vegas obviously still has Aiden Hill, so they are going to be fine with that. He's got 1 year left on his deal, so we will have to re-sign him, but we will give up Ville Husso a second and a third. And the Vegas Golden Knights luckily accepted our offer. Now I'm going to go after a third-line center in Yanni Gourde, who is, I believe, like an 86 overall. He's only got 1 year left on his deal, so if we want to let him go in the offseason, that's fine, for 2 prospects. And Seattle luckily accepted our offer. So taking a look at our team now heading into season number 1, we have DeBrincat, Larkin, and Caulfield on that first line. We have a +5. Also Kane, Compher, and Wilson. Also a +5 for our second line. Our third line is very good as well. And fourth line, we have a lot of depth, so we should be able to compete with pretty much any other team. Now defensively, Mo Seider is our best defenseman at a 90 overall. We also have Gostisbehere there with Jeff Petrie. And also Simon Edvinsson, who's going to be growing into a nice defenseman himself. And in goal, we are rocking with an 87 overall Logan Thompson as our starter, 27 years of age. And this Red Wings roster should be able to take that next step and make the playoffs. Now, finally, the Red Wings are back in the playoffs, finishing 3rd in the Atlantic as we went 43, 27, and 12. There was a time where we were like 27 and 8 and first in our division, but we kind of fell off a little bit after that. Toronto was the best team in our division, and for the entire NHL, it was the Oilers. Dylan Larkin is going to lead our team in scoring with 89 points. Cole Caulfield, 42 goals, exactly what I wanted him to do. Also 82 points, point per game. Patrick Kane had 79, DeBrincat 73, JT Compher had 67, Tom Wilson almost had a 30-goal season and 65 points, so he was very productive. And if we take a look at Logan Thompson, 37, 22, and 10, 2 shutouts, and honestly, not really the greatest stats. He didn't have a great season whatsoever, only a .904 save percentage. Meanwhile, Austin Matthews will dominate, leading in goals with 78 and points with 117. Nylander had 111, Draisaitl was up there, Pasternak 107. Connor McDavid is always going to be good. Bedard as a rookie, 45 goals, 104 points. Very, very impressive by him. And the man who is going to get traded in the offseason, Mitch Marner. And funny enough, the last team that the Red Wings played in the playoffs was the Tampa Bay Lightning in 2015. And now we get to do it all over again almost 10 years later, or actually exactly 10 years later in 2025. Unfortunately, Tampa Bay would handle us in 5 games in the first round as the Edmonton Oilers go on and sweep the Rangers and take home the Stanley Cup. I mean, we didn't really have much of a playoff run, but Cole Caulfield was very good. 4 goals and 8 points. Dylan Larkin had 8, DeBrincat 6, Tom Wilson 3. Matthews is going to win all the major individual awards. Quinn Hughes going to take home the Norris. The Conn Smythe will go to McDavid. Vasi the Vezina and the Selke will go to Crosby. So in the offseason, I already went ahead and traded Andrew Kopp, I believe, and Ben Sherratt. They were making a lot of money for not being great players on our roster. Now we have a lot more money to spend in the offseason. We have well over $11 million to sign whoever the hell we want. Vladimir Tarasenko would be a guy I'd like to go after. Another sniper we can add to our team, but I am going to look at Jacob Chikrin. We are also going to re-sign Robbie Fabry in free agency. The only guy we really lost was Patrick Kane, which is unfortunate, obviously. But I mean, he's like 36, 37 years old. And we are trying to win a Stanley Cup, and we don't have the cap space to sign them. We have to move on, sign younger players who will develop and maybe even be a better overall than Patty Kane will be. Now, heading into year number 2, some of our younger guys have grown, like Marco Kasper, who's up to an 86 overall now. We still have Larkin, Caulfield, and DeBrincat on the first line, almost all 90 overalls. Tom Wilson himself is almost a 90. Daniel Sprong's down there. JVR is a good third-line winger. Our fourth line is very good also defensively. We did pick up Jacob Chikrin, who's going to bolster our D-core even better. Mo Sider's a 90. Evanson already is up to an 87. And in goal, Logan Thompson, also going to be an 87 overall. And Sebastian Casa, 83, as our backup goalie at an elite medium potential. So he could be our starter in a few seasons if he has a very good year and bolsters up to like an 87, 86 overall. All right, so here we are at the trade deadline, 31, 27, and 5. We're going after Noah Hannafin for Dickinson, who was the prospect that we drafted, and Wallman. He can help bolster our D-core, and he's only making $4.9 million for 3 more seasons, so trade rejected. We're probably going to have to sweeten the deal with some draft picks here, which I have no problem with doing that. I added a second and a third into the trade, and luckily Vegas have accepted my offer. Now, at the end of year number 2, we are just barely going to squeak into the playoffs. 91 points, going 42, 33, and 7. Toronto was the best team in our division and for the entire NHL as well, and we are going to have to play them in the first round, I believe, so a rivalry renewed. Cole Caulfield's going to have a great season, somewhat of a great season. I mean, he only scored 29 goals, did have 52 apples for 81 points. Dylan Larkin had 75. He was actually our leading goal man. Tom Wilson again was okay, but was a -10. DeBrincat only 55 points and 19 goals. This might be the next guy that we move off of, considering he's a sniper, and I mean, he's not even scoring 20 goals a season. JVR had 54. Mo Sider only 44 points and 4 goals as a 90 overall D-man. Meanwhile, Logan Thompson, 30, 22, and 6, 2 shutouts, and he was not very good also. Yet again, Austin Matthews is going to dominate, leading in goals with 68 and points with 125. Nylander had 105. Kaprizov was up there. Draisaitl and Bedard. And on the goal side, other than Matthews, Kaprizov had the most at 56. Pasternak at 55, Bedard 53, and Draisaitl 49. As we are going to be playing the Toronto Maple Leafs in round number 1. We know they're the round 1 frauds, so if we can just get it to a game 7, I'm sure we can beat them there. And just like I predicted, we beat Toronto in game 7, also in overtime. And next up is the Boston Bruins in the second round, who again, another original 6 matchup we have here. Unfortunately, we would end up losing to the eventual Stanley Cup winning Boston Bruins, who did go on and beat Arizona of all teams in the Stanley Cup Finals in Game 7. They obviously dominated us in 5 games. Cole Caulfield's going to lead our team in scoring. He had 6 goals, 16 points. Dylan Larkin at 16. DeBrincat at 7 and 7. Tom Wilson at 13 points, as well as Marco Kasper. Matthews again is going to win all the awards. Quinn Hughes the Norris. The Conn Smythe will go to Pasta. Kochekov, the Vezina, and the Selke to Barkov. Now in the re-sign phase, we do got to get back Evanson. He is an RFA. We only have $11 million in cap space. Outside of him, Wallander's an RFA, another defenseman who I'll probably qualify. JVR is probably going to end up going to free agency. I don't think we'll be able to re-sign him. Valeno, I'll qualify. as well as Boloshenkinov. Absolutely butchered that name. Goalies are signed. Casa's an RFA. Now we are going to be moving off of Logan Thompson, considering he hasn't given us great goaltending, and the fact that Casa nails up to an 87 overall, the same overall as Thompson. We also got to re-sign him next season. I'm going to throw in a first and a second to make sure this works for Ryan McLeod and Rodriguez, or Rodrigue, I should say. He'll just be an AHL backup or starter. And the Edmonton Oilers have accepted my offer. Next up, I'm going after Mikael Granlund. He does have 3 years left on his deal at a pretty high cap hit, in all honesty, but we could always move him if he doesn't produce for 2 seconds in a third-round pick. And the San Jose Sharks have accepted my offer. Now, this is what our roster currently looks like going into year number 3. We still have Wilson, Larkin, and Caulfield in the first line. To DeBrincat, I moved him down to the second line, considering he doesn't produce that well. He'll be alongside Casper and Comfer. Ryan McLeod slots in nicely as our third-line center. And we also picked up Mikael Granlund to be our fourth-line center at an 83 overall. Now, defensively, we are absolutely loaded. Seider, Edmondson, a 90 and 91 overall. Hanifin, Chikrin, Gostisbehere, and Wallander. And in goal, we now have Sebastian Casa, 87 overall. So we are at the trade deadline, currently 34, 26, and 2. Going after Yamamoto for Daniel Sprong. We're also going to give up a first, a fourth, and a fifth round pick. And Seattle does not want to retain salary. Why does no CPU-controlled team ever want to retain salary? They are way under the salary cap. They have no problem doing so. So we made the salaries work. Instead, we're going to be moving Robbie Fabry as well as Daniel Sprong for Yamamoto, who's an 87 overall. I threw in some picks to make it work, and luckily Seattle has accepted my offer. And hopefully we can make the playoffs, go on a deep playoff run, because we only have like a few years left. So at the end of the season, yet again, we are just barely going to make the playoffs as the final team in the Eastern Conference. 46, 32, and 4, 96 points. Obviously, our division is very good. The lowest had 81 points and almost a 500 record. Florida was the best team in the Atlantic, winning 50 games, and for the entire NHL, it also was the Panthers. Cole Caulfield's going to have a great season. 45 goals, 98 points. Larkin had 84, DeBrincat 70, also 37 goals, so he definitely stepped up. Casper at 59, Yamamoto was up there, Wilson had an okay season, and in goal, Casa had 37 wins, 24 losses, 3 in overtime, 3 shutouts, and really bad stats. Even worse than Logan Thompson gave us. He didn't even have a 900 save percentage. Matthews dominating again, leading in goals with 68 and points with 122. Marner was up there, Kachuk, and Pettersson, also Reinhart. And on the goal side, it was Matthews, Mishkov, who had 52, Zabinajad had 50, and Line 46. And we are going to be playing the Florida Panthers in the very first round. And we would end up dominating Florida in 5 games as we move on to the Toronto Maple Leafs in the second round. Sadly, Toronto would end up dealing with us in 6 games in the second round as Vegas goes on, sweeping the Toronto Maple Leafs in the finals to take home their second cup of franchise history. Or should I say in franchise history. Cole Caulfield was our best player in the playoffs. 6 goals, 15 points. Larkin had 15. Tom Wilson, 11. Casper had 10. Jacob Chikrin was pretty good, also had 3 goals. Matthews dominating the awards again. Quinn Hughes going to win the Norris. Jack Eichel, the Conn Smythe, the Lindbaum, the Vezina, and the Selke will go to Tim Stützle. All right, so here we are in free agency. The only guy that we ended up losing was Alex DeBrincat. He's asking for almost $9.7 million. We do not have the facilities to give him that money, so he's most likely going to end up signing with another team. That's a huge loss, 89 overall, 37 goals on the season. So we're going to have to try to replace that with somebody with a very low cap space available. Yeah, we have literally no cap space available. That's crazy. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't find a trade for Dylan Larkin, so we're going to stick with him. He is a 90 overall, and we'll have a +5 on the first line with a 93 Caulfield and Tom Wilson. Our second line has a +3, our third line +1. Now, defensively, we are still going to be very stacked. I mean, Edvinson's a 90, Mo Seider's a 91. And in goal, Casa is still an 87 overall at 24 years of age. Hopefully, he can be the goalie that leads us on a deep playoff run. Haven't made it out of the second round yet. At the trade deadline, we are currently 33, 25, and 3. So not really the greatest record. We do have like $5 million in cap space to spend. So we're going after Elias Lindholm. 3 years left on his deal. 88 overall for 2 first and a second round pick. Trade has been rejected. We'll throw in another second round pick and a prospect. And Vancouver has accepted my offer. So hopefully Elias Lindholm can be the guy that adds the depth that we need on this team to make a deep playoff run. Now, at the end of the season, we are going to finish 4th in the Atlantic, going 44, 33, and 5, 93 points on the season. Toronto was the best team in our division. Our division is absolutely stacked. For the entire NHL, it was the Maple Leafs who did beat us last season, I believe in 6 games, so we have to watch out for them. Dylan Larkin and Cole Caulfield had a season for the ages, absolutely carrying us. 59 goals, 127 points for Caulfield, 35 goals, 90 assists for Larkin, also 125 points. The next closest would be Lindholm with 30 goals and 74 points. Casper at 61, Comfort 51, Wilson at 51. I mean, god damn, these two guys were absolutely insane this season. And in goal, if we take a look at Casa, 36, 30, and 3, 4 shutouts, and a .905 save percentage, also allowing 3 goals against per game. And still, somehow, Matthews is going to beat them both. 81 goals, 130 points. I don't know why he simulates so well in this game. Caulfield had 127, Larkin was up there 125, Nylander 115, and Mitchell Marner 109. And now for the first round of the playoffs, we are going to be facing the Washington Capitals. Luckily, we did beat Washington in Game 7, 6-5, and now we have the Carolina Hurricanes in the second round. Of course, Carolina would dominate us in 5 games as the Toronto Maple Leafs sweep the Dallas Stars in the Stanley Cup Finals to win the Stanley Cup for the first time since, I believe, 1967. Caulfield was absolutely amazing in the playoffs. 7 goals, 20 points. Larkin had 18. Chikrin, 9. Casper, 9. Comfort, 7. Mazur had 7 as well. Matthews going to dominate as usual. The Norris will go to Charlie McAvoy. Mitch Marner is actually going to win the Conn Smythe. Swayman the Vezina. And the Selke will go to Tim Stu of the Ottawa Senators. Now, heading into our final season, we're going all out here. Casper, Larkin, Caulfield on the first line. Comfort, Lindholm, and Wilson. We also have our young guy with Dury, who we re-signed, or not re-signed, but signed in free agency alongside Yamamoto. And our fourth line is pretty good also. Defensively, we're still very good. Chikrin, Edvinsson, Mo Seider is going to cap off at a 91. And Casa is an 87 overall. Now, in the final season, we are going to end up going 46, 29, and 7, 99 points. 4th in the Atlantic. Toronto, again, was the best team in our division. Carolina for the entire NHL as they won 52 games on the year. Cole Caulfield's going to have back-to-back 100-point seasons, 41 goals, 106 points. Larkin had 82, Casper 73, Comfort at 65, Lindholm 64, and Wilson 52. And for goalies, Casa was 36, 23, and 5. 2 shutouts, and honestly, very good stats. The best goaltending I've had all video with a .907 save percentage. That really, honestly, speaks more of how bad my goalies have simulated. Sebastian Aho is going to lead the NHL in scoring with 107 points, and for goals, it will go to Austin Matthews, who had 63 on the year. Oh my, Tage Thompson, the one that got away. I tried trading for him. It never worked out. 53 goals, 95 points. And unfortunately, we are going to have to play the Toronto Maple Leafs in round number 1. A very good team, the defending Stanley Cup champions. We obviously beat them one year. They beat us another season. Of course, Toronto would end up dominating us in 6 games in the first round as the Carolina Hurricanes go on and take home the Stanley Cup, beating Colorado in 6 as they finally get it done. I don't know if Rod Brindamore is still coaching them or not. Aho is going to take home the Ted Lindsay, Art Ross, and Hart Trophy. The Maurice Richard will go to Matthews. Quinn Hughes, the Norris, who now is on the Anaheim Ducks. Svechnikov will win the Conn Smythe. Samsonov, the Vezina on Montreal, and the Selke again will go to Tim Stützle for the 3rd straight season. And that will do it for this video, boys. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. We are so close to 20K. Help me get there. Also, make sure you turn on the notifications so you get notified when I go live or post a video. And of course, you know GM Pasta, he has failed the challenge here in Detroit, failing to win a Stanley Cup in 5 seasons. I believe the furthest we went was the second round, so we didn't even get out of round number 2. I guess our best playoff series was year number 3, losing in 6 games to Toronto in the second round, as we pretty much got dominated in the postseason. We made it every single year, though, which I guess is a positive for Red Wings fans, but we did not get the job done. Let me know in the comments, what team should I rebuild next? Thank you all for watching, and until next time, don't be silly. Wrap your willy.